Welcome all to some practice questions for Corporate Issuers Learning Module 1, Organizational Forms. Let's take a look. We have a scenario that's going to cover 5 questions. So this wouldn't happen in the exam, but it's a great way of testing our understanding of all of these structures. So first thing we're going to do is answer this question here. What percentage of the timber and forest assets, we have a diagram, there they are. What percentage of the timber and forest assets are effectively owned by the D family members in this scenario? There are the D family members. So let's take a look. Starting at the top, D's Arbor Group Inc., DAG Inc. There's DAG Inc. is a large international investor in timber and forest assets located in the North and South American continents. DAG Inc. is the general partner of DAG LP, a limited partnership. So this LP here is a limited partnership. And DAG Inc. is the general partner. That is the 100% owner of the timber and forest assets. So this is a 100% ownership. That's pretty simple. DAG LP is controlled by DAG Inc. We can see that relationship here. And its limited partners on that side of there own a 20% stake in the partnership. So the limited partners here have 20%, while DAG Inc. holds the remaining majority stake, 80% there. DAG Inc. shares are listed on stock exchanges in the United States and Canada, so publicly traded. DAG Inc. is organized as a special corporate form available in its jurisdiction, in which it does not pay corporate income taxes, so long as it distributes all of its net income as dividends to its shareholders and complies with other conditions. So that's unusual. When I saw publicly traded, I was thinking, okay, DAG Inc. is going to suffer from double tax because you're going to get taxed on your pre-tax and then when it's distributed as dividends. But no, it has a special exemption where it pays, as long as it distributes, no corporate income tax. Interesting. In the current and the past fiscal years, DAG Inc. has complied with those conditions. Final paragraph, DAG Inc. shares are owned by various members of the D family, here they are, who hold several key senior management positions at DAG Inc. and DAG LP. So they are influential here and here. And collectively, they own 30% of the shares of DAG Inc. So they have 30. The remainder of DAG Inc. shares are owned by a variety of individual and institutional investors. That's this lot down here, none of whom own more than 5%. So this is 70%, but no individual shareholder owns more than 5. The following diagram is the one we've been scrolling over. So back to the original question, what percentage of the timber and forest assets are effectively owned by the D family members in this scenario? Here are the D family members. Let's trace it through. They own 30% of DAG Inc. DAG Inc. owns 80% of the limited partnership, which owns 100% of the timber and forest assets. So starting off with the family members, 30% of DAG Inc. DAG Inc. has 80% of the limited partnership. The limited partnership has 100% of the timber and forest assets. So 0.3 times 0.8 effectively, 24. The answer is A. Now, we could kind of analyze this and talk about what's going on in there, but I happen to know that the rest of the questions are going to do that. So just let's wait and see what's revealed question by question. More exciting that way. So what do we ask next? Here we go. Which of the following best describes the taxation of DAG Inc.? So we are here. And DAG LP, the limited partnership, up here. DAG LP pays tax on its pre-tax income. No. DAG LP is a limited partnership. As a limited partnership, it does not pay tax on its pre-tax income. It is a pass-through entity. Individuals will be taxed. The individual partners will be taxed when the income passes through to them. B. Shareholders of DAG Inc. pay tax based on dividend income. DAG Inc., remember, is a publicly traded company. It had that special exemption, DAG Inc., where it does not pay corporate tax, or rather corporate income taxes, if it distributes all of its net income as dividends. So it's not paying on its pre-tax income, but the shareholders will pay tax based on dividend income. B looks correct. C, DAG Inc. pays tax based on its pre-tax income. No, because we were specifically told it does not. If you just glanced at this and didn't read the question properly, you'd say, oh, that's true. It is publicly traded as a corporation. Yes, it will. And you could be sucked into C if you hadn't read the question carefully. It has this exemption. So the answer here is B. Next up, which of the following best describes DAG LP and DAG Inc.? So back to the publicly traded corporation and the limited partnership. A, neither DAG LP nor DAG Inc. is managed by a majority owner. Well, let's look at DAG LP. We were told DAG LP is controlled by DAG Inc. and its limited partners, here and here. The limited partners own a 20% stake, and the rest is DAG Inc. That is a majority. So DAG LP certainly is managed by a majority owner. Can't be A. B, DAG Inc. has limits to its ability to raise new capital because of the dividend requirement on its corporate form. Well, DAG Inc. is publicly traded. It is publicly traded and its shares are listed on stock exchanges, which gives it a huge advantage when it's trying to raise capital. It certainly doesn't limit its ability. The dividend requirement is that all profits are distributed to shareholders. So I don't see that that is going to restrict their ability to raise capital. I'd be quite pleased if I was getting all the profits as divs, so I don't think it's B either. C, DAG Inc. faces unlimited liability as the general partner. Well, let's check if that's true. DAG LP is controlled by DAG Inc. and its limited partners. So, and its limited partners, DAG Inc. is the GP of DAG LP, and as such does face unlimited liability. DAG Inc.'s status as a corporation implies that its shareholders face limited liability. Publicly traded corporation, the D family members are simply shareholders. Yes, that is the point. So I'm all about C. DAG Inc. faces unlimited liability as the GP. That is true. What is a significant difference between the limited partners of DAG LP, these people over here, and the outside shareholders of DAG Inc., these people here? First of all, managerial responsibilities. Limited partners of DAG LP, no managerial responsibilities. That's on the general partner. Outside shareholders of a corporation, no management responsibilities. Outside shareholders are owners. They appoint agents, the board and management, to run the company for them. They are the principal. The agents run it. So neither has managerial responsibility, so that's not a difference. B, taxation of income from the partnership. I would be tempted by this if it was not for this special exemption that we keep coming back to. The fact that the DAG Inc. Corporation does not pay corporate income taxes so long as it distributes all of its net income as dividends, and it does, it is effectively a pass-through entity. Exactly the same as the partnership. So both are effectively pass-throughs. I don't see that that's a significant difference. The ability to vote and replace members of the DAG Inc. Board of Directors. While the limited partners of DAG LP are over here, they have no ownership in DAG Inc. at all. They are limited partners of DAG LP. The outside shareholders of DAG Inc., they do have shares in DAG Inc., which means, yes, they have the ability to vote and could replace members of the board. Remember, the D family only has 30. The outside shareholders have 70. Yes, individually less than 5, but as a group, given they have 70%, they do have the ability to replace the board. It would require some of these shareholders to group together, but it is possible. So I'm going for C. And what do we have here? The whole point to this setup. Which of the following rationales would be most consistent with the D family's choice to create this complex organizational structure whereby they have 30% of DAG Inc. DAG Inc. has 80% of the LP, which has 100% of the assets. Why do that instead of simply organizing a limited or as a limited partnership? Let's look at A. It provides management control without the need for majority ownership by the family while maintaining limited liability. Let's pick that apart. It provides management control. The D family members own 30% of DAG Inc., but they do have, as well as that 30%, and remember, out of the 70% of outside shares, no more than 5% is owned by any one shareholder. So although they don't have the majority, they are the largest single shareholder or single shareholder group given its family members. So they own 30% and they hold several key senior management positions at DAG Inc. So they have key people in there, and DAG LP, they have key people in there. That, I would say, does give them management control. Without the need for majority ownership by the family, that's true, they only have 30%. Whilst maintaining limited liability, what do they own? They own shares in a publicly traded corporation. That means limited liability. A is actually correct. They do have management control, but as we said earlier on, they only actually own 24% of the timber and forest assets via this 30 and 80. Let's just check the other two answers. B, the complex structure eliminates the potential for double taxation. Well, no, we've been looking at that in other questions here. They are both pass-throughs. Yet again, sounding quite repetitive, but you might have been tempted by that if it was not for the exemption, which ours complied with. So not B. C, the complex structure avoids potential problems associated with outside investors exercising voting rights. Well, no, it does not. We mentioned that, I think, in the last question. The outside shareholders have 70%. Yes, less than 5 individually, but if they did group together, there is potentially a problem because you've given them 70% of the votes.